what's her name?
Beth.
There was a guy here too, but she would just walk circles around.
Those used to have these like dams that you could put down, and they've all been misappropriated or taken and put somewhere else, so they're not in a trailer.
So hard.
Can't get the trailer close enough, there's landscaping. I felt really bad at LSI because the guys showed up with brand new mulch and they're standing there watching us set all this stuff up, and I was like, I wouldn't start if I were you.
Don't, I'm seriously, I'm mad right now. Don't even,
I would wait.
Don't even.
don't even.
Oh,
I was gonna let you.
I got my phone. That actually-
Make that louder.
We've had enough noise from that microphone.
You're about to get another 2 hours of it.
That was
all good. Or I'd like to call the Middleville Village Council meeting to order. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Mike Kramer,
Here.
Steve Baldry,
Here.
Robert Bishop, Richard Hamilton,
here.
Mackenzie Peters, Kevin Smith,
Here.
Ann Williams.
Here,
As both Mackenzie and Mr. Bishop reached out and let us know that they were not going to be able to attend tonight, I'll make the motion that we excuse Trustee Bishop and Trustee Peters.
Support.
We have a motion with support to excuse Trustee Bishop and Trustee Peters from the meeting tonight. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda.
I will make a motion to approve agenda
As printed.
as printed. I'm not reading all that.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the agenda as printed. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. printed.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the consent agenda, which consists of the approval of the minutes for the regular council meeting of May 28th, 2024, the approval of minutes for the closed session meeting of May 28th, 2024, the approval of the minutes for the MCOW meeting of June 4th, 2024, and the approval of bills for June 3rd, 2024, totaling $40,671.27. Kim, may I have roll call, please?
Steve Baldry,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
All right. Motion carries. Public comment?
All right, yeah, Dave Lonsma, precinct delegate, Yankee Springs Township. Good evening, everybody. My wife and I are both precinct delegates, and we'll be running again on the August primary ballot as precinct delegates. I'm also running as a county commissioner candidate for 2nd District, which includes northern Yankee Springs Township and the village of Middleville. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? Hearing none. We have Ms. Young here from Michigan Main Street to give us a presentation. Lee, if you'd like.
Then Kim, can I get you to advance the pages? Perfect. Okay. Perfect. All right. So thank you very much. I'm very excited to talk to you tonight about the Michigan Main Street program. We are part of you can just scroll down to the next one. Yeah. We are part of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, and we are one of 2 technical assistance programs. You participate already in the Redevelopment Ready Communities program. But as part of Michigan Main Street, we help serve the strategic focus areas of MEDC by helping communities attract new businesses, develop attractive places, support small businesses, and market the state. So I just like to show MEDC's 6 core focus areas to show exactly where Michigan Main Street fits in. You can scroll down. We are part of the National Main Street Center, which was established in 1980 as a way to mitigate the decline of vibrant downtowns due to things like suburbanization, shopping malls, and auto-oriented development. We are part of 45 state, city, or county coordinating programs that provide technical assistance to over 2,000 communities nationwide. And really, the Main Street America National Main Street Center has paved the way for the renaissance of small downtowns, rural downtowns throughout the entire nation. And you can see that by the reinvestment statistics that our communities collect and then get filtered to Main Street America. So I like to highlight all of the different dollars reinvested into downtown areas nationwide, the net gain in jobs, the net gain in businesses, the buildings being rehabilitated, and then the reinvestment ratio. For every dollar that's put into a downtown, $24 is seen as an economic impact to that community or to the nation. So Michigan Main Street then exists to help communities develop Main Street districts that attract residents and businesses, encourage local investment, and build community capital or build community ownership. We provide you with a framework that allows community members to get involved into the future of their downtown through using the Main Street approach. Michigan Main Street celebrated our 20-year anniversary last year. We became a coordinating program that partners with Main Street America in 2003. So in partnership with the National Main Street Center, that means that we provide technical assistance, resources, and trainings to small communities and downtowns throughout the entire state. Our technical assistance looks like things like branding, business recruitment strategies, market data analysis, board strategic planning, and board development and training, plus executive director leadership and professional development for our executive directors. We also have 2 grants that participating in Michigan Main Street allows you to have access to. The first you might be familiar with, the Match on Main grant, is available to redevelopment ready communities that are certified, and Michigan Main Street is a small business development grant providing up to $25,000 for small businesses that want to either expand their physical space or their inventory products and services. The Main Street Vibrancy Grant is for Main Street communities only, and it's provides up to $25,000 to do vibrancy improvements. That could be anything from promotions and marketing to having a small business incubator or small placemaking projects throughout your Main Street area. can scroll down. So I like to highlight our reinvestment statistics. So this is for 20 years of the entire program. Our communities collect these reinvestment statistics. So again, things like private investment, public investment in their districts, new businesses, building and facade improvements. But I really like to highlight the volunteer hours because this really is a grassroots community-driven effort to make more improvements into your wonderful, beautiful downtown. So the next slide shows our map of 22 participating communities, but what's not on here are the 10 prospective communities that I'm working with and the others that are at the stage that you're at, which is exploring what Michigan Main Street could mean for their community. So what is Michigan Main Street? It's really a framework that provides a community-driven economic development strategy for your downtown through historic preservation and stakeholder engagement. So we like to highlight historic preservation because really it's about leveraging the unique asset that you have in your downtown and building on it. And then we like to highlight stakeholder engagement because it's about learning about what the community wants to see for the downtown and then being the stewards of what the community wants to see. The approach is comprehensive, so we will arm you with tools, training, and resources to make sure that you're being comprehensive in your downtown management efforts, as opposed to maybe just focusing on infrastructure. We'll make sure that you're focusing on all areas: business development, design, promotion, and organization. We work on leveraging existing assets and partnerships. So we'll do a whole asset mapping exercise where we'll understand all of the different assets that you have in your community, both human and physical, to then understand what types of strategies and projects and programming could we do to revitalize or continue the revitalization of your downtown. It's a self-empowerment program. So again, we provide technical assistance, training, and resources, but it's really then about the community utilizing those things for the betterment of your downtown. It's incremental. So you guys as village council members probably know community development doesn't happen overnight, but instead it's the series of small steps and small projects that's going to make that catalytic big change over time. It's quality change making. So we want to make sure that all the projects and programming you're doing are quality, that are meeting the design standards that you have, that are meeting the standards that the community has for its downtown. And then lastly, and most importantly, it's implementation based. It's not enough to have a really great downtown plan, a really great master plan. Instead, we work with you to set up a structure so that those plans are actually getting implemented. And the way we do that is through the Main Street approach, which is a threefold approach. First and foremost, we look and see what the community wants to see, what the vision for the community is for the downtown. We do that through community surveys, plus also a survey of the leadership base to understand what is everyone saying about the future of downtown. We then will provide you with market data and demographic data so you can understand what the economic realities of your downtown are. Once we know what the community is saying, what can be feasibly developed or supported by the economy in your downtown, we then allow you to select up to one transformation strategy. We give you 3 or 4 to choose from. And a transformation strategy is really just an economic development strategy for your downtown that lasts up to 3 to 5 years. Once you select your transformation strategy, we'll then work with you on identifying projects and programming to implement that strategy, but ultimately implement the community's vision for downtown. We also provide you with measures of success so you can track your progress over time to make sure that you're moving the needle towards where you want to go. You can scroll down. And I mentioned that the approach was comprehensive. So everything that we'll work with you on, all the projects and programming that your organization will work on, fall under one or more of the Main Street 4 points of economic vitality. So supporting the existing businesses, but also identifying new businesses that could fit any vacancies that you have, or understanding strategic redevelopments that could occur in your downtown. Design is about leveraging the unique historic character you have, but making improvements to public spaces as well. Organization is about cultivating partnerships and resources for downtown revitalization efforts. And then promotion is about having events downtown, but much more about marketing the downtown to visitors and residents. So as you're getting started in this journey, there are several questions that you need to ask yourself. First is, does your potential district meet our standards for traditional downtown? It does. Our definition is having 20 or more lot line developed buildings that are primarily zoned or used for commercial purposes that are 50 years old. Why 50 years old? That's what designates you first as a historic downtown. Because you participate with us and have gotten some incentives, I know for a fact that your community meets our traditional downtown, but just looking at your downtown, I can see that myself. Is historic preservation important to your local community? Knowing what I know about some of the projects that you've recently accomplished, I can see for myself that that might be a yes, but that's an answer that you have to answer ultimately. Is downtown revitalization a community priority? Same thing as what I just said, but that's an answer that you all have to say. And then the last two questions are, do you want to leverage human and financial resources in support of downtown? And then do public and private sector stakeholders want to work together towards downtown revitalization? All of the work that we'll do with you as you're exploring Main Street are to get some of these answers from a no to a yes if they are a no, or if they're a yes already, then that is just further momentum towards using the Main Street model. So there are several goals of participating in Main Street. The first is to familiarize community stakeholders with the Main Street approach. The second is to gain access to tools designed to build awareness and support for Main Street or downtown revitalization efforts. We can work with you on identifying stakeholders and strategies to engage those stakeholders in the Main Street efforts. Not everyone might be at the table right now, and we can help you get them there. And then also you get to join a statewide network of Main Street communities, both exploring at the engaged level and at the select and master level as well. We have 4 levels, so if you've ever seen a Main Street presentation, this is probably new information because we just added several new levels. The first level is a no commitment level called the network level, and this is for communities that are looking for additional resources, but may not be ready for full Main Street designation because of political will, capacity, any number of reasons. But at the network level, you can still gain access to a lot of the trainings and resources that we have. The engaged level then is a 1 to 3 year commitment, and that's for communities that are on track to full Main Street designation. It's for communities that want to start using the Main Street approach. And so you would complete an application for participation in the select level. The select level is a 5 year commitment, and that's for communities that are dedicated to implementing the Main Street approach. And communities at the select level receive specialized technical assistance for downtown revitalization efforts. It's a 5 year commitment because over those 5 years, we want to work with you on your transformation strategy, on implementing that strategy, but also on meeting the national accreditation standards set by Main Street America. After success at the select level, you could then move up to the master level, which is a 2+ year commitment. Communities that have completed the select level, have met the national accreditation standards, or at the master level, they receive more specialized and sophisticated technical assistance. They also have the opportunity to serve as mentors to other Main Street communities. We have had communities with us for 20 years. Niles and Boyne City started when Michigan Main Street started. And so communities just continue to see the value and benefit of using this framework. So we have a checklist for Main Street participation that outlines everything you would need to do to be at the network, engaged, select, and master. At this point, you really need to ask yourself, do you want to pursue network level, no commitment, get access to our Michigan Main Street staff, get access to our online training series, get access to our online resources? Or do you want to pursue full Main Street designation through that application process? All the things that you would need to do for both are outlined. We also have a program brochure, which I can make sure to send because it has this, but it also has our list of suite of services from the network to engage, select, and master. But at the end of the presentation, I have some snapshots of what our technical assistants look like. So we get asked all the time, what is the true value of participating in the Michigan Main Street program? First and foremost is it provides that methodology and framework for downtown revitalization. There's no need to struggle and figure out what do we need to do? Are we doing it the way we should when a method and framework exists for you? And communities are using it that you can R&D from. It engages the community in the future of downtown. I said that maybe not everyone is at the table because maybe they don't know that they could get involved in things like coming to a village council meeting, coming to a DDA meeting. Main Street provides that framework for people to be able to get involved through having a committee structure of volunteers that are actually implementing meaningful projects. It allows you to proactively manage the market rather than rely on external forces. So having the community survey data, having the market data analysis lets you understand, okay, this is the types of businesses the community wants to see, and here's what can be supported. Now we can go out and strategically recruit businesses, or we can say no to a development that we know is not going to serve our community because this is what the community is saying and what the market can support. It allows you access to tailored technical assistance and resources. So we have our suite of services, but we will always tailor any technical assistance, training, and resources to meet your needs where you're at right now. And then it provides you access to a national network of community and resources. So it's not just people in Michigan that are doing this, it's all over the nation. That guaranteed there's a community exactly like Middleville, not exactly, because no one's exactly like you, but going through similar challenges and struggles that you can learn from. So we added this to our presentation, but I kept it in for tonight because I want to show you some of the things that our technical assistants can do. This is a neighboring community very close to you, downtown Wayland. We just did their branding update. They're the Dahlia City. We didn't know that until we went there, but they have this beautiful community painted mural. And so we leverage that to create their downtown branding. When we do branding, we don't just do destination branding for the downtown, but we also do branding for events, branding for the organization. So it's very clear who is doing the downtown revitalization, but then also drawing people in. This is an example of branding from Rogers City. They are an up north community with the perception that they're closed during the winter. We wanted to make it very clear that they're an all year seasonal community. And that carries through to some of the banners that they had, their wayfinding signage. Also with our branding service, you don't just get one logo for the organization and one logo for the downtown. You get 500 logos and different ideas of how you can implement them. This is an example of our market data snapshot. So if you come into the select level, the very first thing we'll do is provide you with this market snapshot. It shows the demographic data, population trends now and how you're projected to grow or decline in the future. It also shows psychographic information. So customer profiles about their likes, dislikes, how they want to spend money, how they spend their time, and things like that. But we've also been partnering with Main Street America to get Placer AI data, geofencing data, to show all of this information for the visitors that are coming. You can see how many visitors, when visitors are coming throughout the year, how long they're staying, where they go after they come to your district. Very useful information. This is our business recruitment primer. So we have two business recruitment services. We first start out with making sure that your community has materials in place to recruit businesses. The worst thing you can do is have a prospective business come to you and say, well, I don't know what available spaces we have, and I don't know what incentives we have for new businesses. Instead, we work with you on building those materials so that you're armed with having that. The next step of this service is what we call our business recruitment challenge. We actually do kind of like a secret shopper of your business recruitment process. So we'll bring a consultant in, you'll walk that person through your business recruitment process, and then they'll provide recommendations about what worked, what they would improve, things like that. We did, if any of you follow MEDC My Place on any social media channel, you might have seen our storytelling service. So 2 years ago, we started with Phil Ike of Storyville Social in Bay City. He tells community stories. So he'll go to your businesses and he'll ask, what's your story? Why are you in Middleville? What do you like about the community? What do you like about your business? But that gives you information that you can share on your own social media challenges about who's in your community, why they love Middleville. It's a pride building exercise. And for this story in Sault Ste. Marie, I took out the slide, but it got so much social media that hundreds of likes and shares. And for a small community like Sault Ste. Marie, that's huge. That's a lot of traction showing why Sault Ste. Marie is so special. This is one of our more sophisticated services. It's our Downtown Future service available to master level communities. The top example is for Charlevoix. And what we do is we allow a community to say, these are our 4 or 5 properties we're having challenges with, or our 4 or 5 redevelopment areas that we want to see what could work here. In Charlevoix, they're struggling with housing. And so we put together some sketches of what housing could look like on those 4 or 5 properties. The example on the bottom was the Downtown Futures Light type of service. If you saw anything about Niles during the pandemic, it was probably that they won several awards for their Node, their outdoor dining area. They wanted to make that permanent, and so we put together some sketches of what it could look like in several areas that they had chosen of an offsite park, or do they keep the street closed like they had it? And I should say about Niles, we gave them a vibrancy grant. They also are utilizing RAP grant funds to make this space permanent. So a really good success story there. This one is our impact report. So every single year for all of our 22 participating communities, we provide a graphically designed, really nice, succinct impact report. It's an annual report that the Main Street organization can share with stakeholders to showcase all of the impacts that they're having downtown. All the community has to do is collect the reinvestment statistics and then send me photos and little blurbs about the photos. And then we work with our graphic designer to put it in this format. So should you come to the select level, you would get one of these as well. And all of ours can be found on our website as well. And then lastly, I just wanted to show some examples of what our vibrancy grant has been able to do. We have done 30 projects over the past 3 years. So this is an example in Lapeer. They did chess tables. These are community painted murals. And so every square is painted by someone in the community. And then they put them together on these really cool, they're not canvases, but they're some other type of material. So they're removable and they don't damage the building, but it's just really cool how they blow them up. And everyone, if you painted that square, you could come and say, look, I painted this square on this mural. So that was really interesting. Plus their new transformation strategy is arts and culture. Those, when that got posted on social media, blew up in the community. It was just really validating to see, okay, the community really does want to see arts and culture in this small downtown. The next example is from marketing and promotion. Have you guys heard of the ambassador programs before? It's a new trend where people in downtowns are giving community members gift certificates to go patronize businesses downtown. And all they have to do is then post about it on social media. So in Owasso, we paid for their downtown Owasso hype team. And so you can see some of the swag that they got, some of the social media posts, but it was really successful and they're still doing it now. Wayland actually got a vibrancy grant to do a hype team, and Lapeer got a vibrancy grant to do a hype hound program. They have a dog-friendly, loving community, and so they're gonna do bandanas for dogs and have people bring their dogs downtown. And then the last example I wanted to show was the vibrancy grant we did for downtown Lansing. This is their Middle Village Micro Market. It's a business incubator space where they can incubate 5 businesses a year. And then underneath this, we also paid for their Kringle Market. So the small market sheds for their holiday market, we paid for another business incubation opportunity. And then my last slide is our 4 staff members. So we're a very small but mighty team. I'm Lee Young, the Senior Main Street Specialist. We also have our manager, Laura, Economic Vitality Specialist, Josh, and Jill, our Promotion Specialist. So with that, I will take any questions.
How do you mentioned at the tail end there, a small business incubator. How do you involve yourself in that?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of different ways. So one is the community has the plan in place, and then they just show us the plan, and then we provide funding to it through the vibrancy grant. The other one is this year we just piloted, we call them mini makeovers. So in downtown Lansing, they chose 4 businesses. We gave each one of those 4 businesses $3,000 to do things like retail merchandising, cleaning up the storefront. In one, we put a little kids area or a kids department in a game store. So Laura and myself actually were in there helping rearrange things for the businesses. So it can be as hands-on as going and doing the mini makeovers to helping the community plan for, okay, you want to do a business incubator? Here are X, Y, and Z strategies of how you do that. Let me have you call Kathleen and her staff to talk about what they did in downtown Lansing so we can be a resource provider, but also a funder with our vibrancy grant.
Nice.
Actually, in Everett, a really small community that you might have heard of outside of Muskegon, they just opened up their business incubator. That was another vibrancy grant that we did But they learned from what Kathleen did after hearing about it at one of our trainings, and so decided to try it there.
Nice.
Any other questions, comments?
So, I was let everybody else go. That still requires a full-time staff member for us, correct?
Correct. At the select level is where you would need a full-time executive director. That's something that I probably should have talked about. So all of our technical assistance is provided free, no cost to communities. What we ask at the select level is that you have an active board. So typically if you have a DDA, it's the DDA board that just says, yes, we'll use the Main Street framework. And they have funding for 5 years at the select level. There's no issues with the number or the dollar amount of funding. We'll work with you wherever your budget is at, but we do require you to have a full-time staff member. We can be flexible on how that person, maybe they're a village employee, maybe they're an employee of the DDA, or if you decide to start a nonprofit like several of our other communities have, we can figure out how that works. And we can provide you budget and salary survey information as well. But we also provide hiring assistance and fundraising strategies should you need to fundraise for that position. And we'll work with you at the engaged level to have a plan in place for how you're going to hire a full-time person. And you can even apply to the select level without having someone in place. In fact, we give you 6 months at the select level to get that person on board. We just want to see that you have a plan in place to do so. But we'll work with you on what that plan is, so we'll be comfortable with having you at the select level.
Anybody else?
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So like I said, next steps are to kind of explore what level you want, and then feel free to email me and I can talk next steps after that.
Excellent.
All right. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
All right, next we have the Independence Day event permit, the revision.
Good evening, council. I apologize. I made a mistake on an event permit for the time. So I am requesting if you can approve to change the time on the event from what was 5 to 8 to 9 to 1, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Motion, I will make a motion to approve the amended event permit.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the amended event permit. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have no ordinances and resolutions, so now we are on the staff reports. Craig's up first.
Sergeant Ware is out sick today, by the way, so. Yep, got my report in front of you. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'll be out of town Sunday through Wednesday of next week for a wrestling camp up north, but I'll be available via email and or phone. And then also the offices will be closed on Wednesday for Juneteenth holiday.
I have a question with regard to Sergeant Ware and,
Yes.
and these reports. 99.9% of the time, he just reads this piece of paper and then asks us if we have any questions. Given I mean, this is an opportunity when he's not here, we can still read it and get and consume it. And I'm curious, for the sake of having Sergeant Ware come and go just to read a piece of paper and wait sometimes 45 minutes to an hour or 2 hours to do this report. I'm curious, Mr. President, if there is something that we can do to maybe make a motion to allow him to just provide this report and then excuse him from having to be here in person. I think he plans on, like, we could have him come in once a month for discussion if we have some things that need to be covered, or have him come in committee of the whole or something. But is it possible for us to just excuse him from having to read this piece of paper when he comes in, and then just allow him to come in once a month rather than every single meeting?
I don't have a problem with that.
Would we need to make
I actually prefer this report
I agree.
to the numbers. I mean, I like having the numbers, but
I totally agree. Like, I think that this is a much more comprehensive way of getting the information. We can review it post and pre and post. Would we,
I don't think the contract actually requires him
I-
to come
It
in.
I don't
does
think
not.
so. I don't think
Nope.
so.
So
Could we just pass the happy message on to him and just let him know, maybe have him come once a month at a meeting of his
committee as a
choosing?
whole is really where we need him. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we've got any event permits come up, it's just nice to know that he's reviewed them and he's good with it. So,
Let's just have him come to the committee of the whole then.
We can do that.
and keep up with the report style that he's providing now.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I do agree, this is a nice report to have.
Yep.
So, okay,
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yep.
Great,
Sure.
thanks.
Good idea.
Thanks. That's all I have.
And liaison reports, we had a police contract meeting where we just went over changes. That should make it back to council sometime soon. Planning commission? No, not since the last meeting.
Right.
I think Parks and Rec isn't here.
Yeah.
No, I think that's it. Okay. We are past unfinished business. We are on DDA clerical and financial support services.
Yep, so what you have in front of you is an agreement between the DDA and council to more accurately track and pay for or receive payment for services we're providing to the DDA for clerical and financial support. This was approved by the DDA already. Now it's in front of you for your consideration.
Make a motion, we accept the agreement between the DDA and the Village of Middleville for clerical and financial services.
Support?
We have a motion with support to accept the DDA clerical and financial support services agreement. Any further discussion before we vote?
Yeah, I just have one comment.
Sure.
As I read it, it said the DDA would contract with the individuals. Are we
It's-
contracting with the village?
Yes, so it's with the
Not
village.
Actually contracting with individuals.
Not necessarily, it just depends on who's doing the work, Mr. Hamilton. So sometimes Kim might do the clerical work, so she received the extra payment, and other times it might be Rhonda, and then if Glormar is away, it could be somebody else helping her out at that point, so. That's-
Contracted with the village and then the service would be provided by.
Correct.
you.
Yes,
And this is not payment above and beyond their regular,
no,
Not double
it's just, we're just
so we're
offloading. If-
swapping
If we
hours.
spend 2 hours at the village level, then those 2 hours are just compensated. by
Yes,
the- Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
yes. So each of the employees, so Kim, for example, works 40 hours a week, whether it's 40 hours a week and specifically village stuff or DDA combination village, however that works, that's what that looks like, so.
Very good.
Any other discussion? All right.
Should probably
All
have
those in favor? Are you-
Aye.
Oh, no, it's an
Probably
agreement.
Money.
roll call.
Yeah,
It's
let's do
money.
roll call, please.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Stephen Baldry,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. Open board committee council positions.
This is a procedure that was in front of you prior. We made some additional changes. We also, we don't have the specific to have everything, all applications delivered to the, excuse me, if I could talk, delivered to the council necessarily or the village hall, but every application, every advertisement we put out there is asked for things to be delivered to Village Hall, so that is a requirement of people that apply. But otherwise, it meets everything that was requested for changes, and we are, and it also meets our RRC requirement for recertification for that.
So the only thing I would strike is 4, because there's no legal requirement for me to collaborate with anyone on my appointments. Those recommendations are mine to make and mine alone. That's the state law. So they're welcome to give me their input, but ultimately that's my job. They're welcome to sit in on the interviews, but I'm not going to be told how to do my job. And we're not going to make that a policy to do so when it conflicts with state law.
Yep, however council sees fit, we can make that change.
I can read the verbiage if you'd like.
No, I understand what it is.
No, please,
It's okay.
actually, or you can at least give me the,
Pull that up for you.
or you can email it to me later. That's fine too.
Well, it's on the state website. It's not hidden. See, members shall be appointed by the chief executive officer of the municipality, subject to approval by the governing body. So nowhere does it state that I have to take any consideration from the department chairperson. And I will do that if I choose, not because it's in a policy.
All right. Like we said before, it takes 4 out of 7. So, I mean, I don't have a fault with it.
Mr. President, I think in the spirit of collaboration, we continue to wedge between the ability to collaborate and not collaborate with these governing bodies. I'm not entirely certain.
I'm going to suck the wind out of your sails right there because I have a laundry list of violations of civil conduct that it is our responsibility to hold them accountable for, and we have not done that. So respect is earned. If that respect is going to be earned back, then we need to start doing the job that the people elected us to do and hold people accountable for their misconduct. Some of these that could make us financially liable. I mean, they're pretty big misgivings. If you'd like me to go over them in a public meeting, I can. But we are all well
Actually,
aware.
I
Mr.
would
President,
love it
yes, I would like to
Yep.
see that in writing and then we
Yep.
can go over them point by point, just so that we have some visibility, because what I think that the challenge that we're faced with is
We are on our 4th DDA director since I took office. The previous complaints included being forced to volunteer and work hours past their salary and getting contrary direction from what the board had decided on. Our current hiring of the director,
just on that particular point, you mentioned salary.
yes,
So you're saying
new state laws require us to pay overtime.
on a salaried employee?
If they're under a certain wage, yes.
And
So
do
we
they
need
meet
to
that
verify
requirement?
that with our attorney that we're not violating.
So we're not violating, but we suspect
We
that if
have
we're
in the
below a
past.
particular.
They're either exempt or not exempt.
Yeah, if they're an exempt employee, that is not, I mean, I think that we need
Those
to be
laws have
very, I
changed,
think
and we need to be verifying that.
the most productive thing that we can do is if you have a laundry list, share it with the rest of us. That way we can look at it and then we can collaborate to ensure that we're going down the right path. Because in an exempt employee, and I'm going to tell you that exempt employees, there's a lot of latitude with regard to wage and hour laws, which is what you're referring to.
And they are
I'm,
constantly evolving and changing, and we need to make sure we're on top of it. And historically, we have not.
with due respect, wage and hour laws are pretty specific and they don't evolve and change as much as what you might think. And I'm going to tell you that if we're paying a salary, those are salaried employees. They're paid not by the hour, they're paid by a salary. They're given a weekly amount of money. And whether it takes them 10 hours or 50 hours, the reality is that they're still going to get the same amount of money. So we just need to be very cautious about what we're saying is a violation. And that's where I'm saying, let's get some visibility on your concerns. That way we can discuss them openly. And certainly if we need to, again, spend more money for our attorney to go over complaints and concerns, I would much rather have visibility on that before we start spending taxpayer money on things that may just simply be a misunderstanding. So if you don't mind, I would truly appreciate, and I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, but I would truly appreciate a list that you have in paper in front of us, and then we can go dot by dot, bullet by bullet, and discuss each of those particular violations so that we can validate your concerns.
Well,
Because
let's
at the
keep
end of
going
the day,
because
we
we
might,
have a nice letter from one of the applicants from the last DDA hiring process that we all received in paper in front of us that listed a lot of concerns. And a lot of those are valid. And a lot of those could also put us in a really bad spot.
I think again,
No, we're
Get a
dodging the
document.
issue and I'm being gaslit and that's fine. If we're gonna hold me responsible and not anybody else, that's fine.
No,
Then
no,
we'll
no,
just stop the discussion.
We're
Can I
not.
say something?
Go ahead.
I hear us talking two different issues. You have a responsibility as the chief executive officer of the village. I acknowledge that. If I disagree with some appointment, I'll disagree. If I agree, I agree. If we got some issues out here that are concerns that are ongoing and historical, that is something totally
Completely different.
These have all happened during my term as
That's,
president.
that's
That's not historical.
In the
Well,
past.
yesterday is history to me.
Yes,
Come on, let's divide what we're talking about here.
yes.
I acknowledge you as president of the village. I'm not the president. I don't make those appointments. I review them. If I have an objection to them, I'll make that objection known. Verbally, during discussion, and in my vote. Everybody else will do the same thing. Then we back up and try to figure out how we can get the people in there that everybody agrees with. Because certainly in those kinds of appointments, the worst thing we can do is have a divided council on appointments anywhere in this village. So let's look at the issues that you're talking about that are legal and maybe infractions, or maybe not good management, maybe, who knows? But I agree with Kevin, if we've got a laundry list, don't keep it a secret for crying out loud.
Well,
So
staff doesn't feel it's important to put it together, so I will make sure that we do something a little different then. I'll draft it myself.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are your concerns, so I don't know, I
They
mean,
should
unless
be all of
unless
our
you,
concerns.
one way or another,
But
you
You put
commu-
personal relationships before public responsibility, and that's the problem.
if you communicate what you're thinking to the staff, I'm sure that they could certainly put that laundry list together. I don't
Oh,
think.
I
methodology-
absolutely said there should be a full in-depth investigation of the conduct of the hiring committee, and nothing was come from it. We got a letter from that, and I got a phone call, and I got screamed at, and nothing came of that because we didn't want to rock the boat. We didn't want to cause conflict. We didn't want to cause strife. That needs to be dealt with.
That specific incident was brought to the attorney for review, which was reviewed and was determined that there was no
That is
wrong.
not a factual statement because you said it wasn't worth the headache and it would have to go to circuit
That's-
court. So, because I asked and we were told no, or I was told no, we weren't going to do that. So don't fabricate things.
I'm not fabricating things, Mr. President. I provided everything to our attorney and I gave you our attorney's response.
I think we're wallowing in something here that needs to be divided and deal with you as executive. You have a full right to do by law. And we got another thing going on here that I have no damned idea what it is.
I think it's just, I think, Mr. President, the concept here is that rather than bringing these up in the moment, we should have them organized. I mean, as a chief executive officer, typically executives put together a laundry list or a bulleted list of things that they have as a concern. They go through discussion and then they are implemented accordingly, and then resources are attached to them. So, in a normal management situation, especially at a strategic level, we can't be reactive to an in the moment statement like what you're making unless we're able to visually look at the concerns and then bring in the right resources to address it. Because if there's violations, I'll be the first one to raise my hand and say, we need to address it. If it's somebody or something that's usurping your ability to be influential and have executive power over a particular process, and you feel as though that's misplaced right now, we certainly need to address it. So there's no gaslighting and there's no emotion here. It's just simply a matter of procedure so that we can all partnership together or create a partnership together to support you and your efforts,
Okay.
rather than just getting a document in front of us and then having an emotional outbreak burst on one particular item, having it lead to a big misunderstanding. I think it's just it's the right thing to do for all of us so that we can support your efforts.
Provide me legal support that says that I need to collaborate with the DDA chair.
So
I think we need to break it out and make it bigger rather than a tactical single point. I think you have made a very blanket statement of a multitude of violations. What I'm interested in is understanding what those
Focusing
are.
back to the problem at hand, this contract. I am redirecting focus back. Provide me a legal guideline that says that that's a requirement.
But I also think that there's a lot of other larger global issues that make number
Well, you
four
want them on
sensitive
paper.
to you.
Even though you've been firsthand to a couple of them.
And I've certainly witnessed a couple of situations where there's been disagreements and a lack of communication amongst members, but I can assure you, what I'm mostly interested in is making sure that we are in a very organized and standard way so that we can all agree that we are hearing you exactly how you need to be heard, and then address those particular points constructively. That's it. And so if we could do that, I think we'd go a long way.
if I could, real,
I'd
Sorry.
like to, a point of order. I think we discussed it long enough. You made your point clear. I made my point clear. President made his point clear. Let's rest it. And let this and this work it out, and bring it back to us.
so if I could
And let's
just,
move on. We're gonna be whacking away here on something that is not gonna get resolved tonight. Besides, I'm ready to go home anytime now.
for this point number 4, which you're referring to, we put this language together based on what council recommended, that council and DDA work together. It says should collaborate, doesn't say shall or must collaborate, but we can certainly make any changes that council wishes us to make changes on that.
I mean, I guess when we get a chair that conducts themselves ethically, then that collaboration could happen. So we could leave the should in there for now.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to adopt the attached policy for filling open positions on village council and other boards and or committees overseen by the village council as
Support.
written.
We have a motion with support to approve this. Let's go back up. Open board committee council position policy. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Everyone should have the draft minutes from the village council meeting from June 4th and the planning commission meeting, the joint meeting. There are no informational items included. Any public comment before we leave? All right, final council comment? Anybody want to start?
I do. I'm not gonna throw no gas on the fire. Two things. Saturday, I went down to the Pride event, spent a good hour and a half down there. Got to figure out the right way to say it, which I don't have. I'm an old machinery guy. We have a certain way of talking, sorry. I didn't see anything that would violate my wherewithal that day or anything like that, you know, for some of the paperwork we had come through here and that type of thing. It might not be a lifestyle or something I agree with and that type of thing, but I certainly didn't see anything that would lead me to believe that they shouldn't be there. And, you know, I thought things went up good and, for the time I spent there. And I would walk, I didn't think there was that many people there when I was there. It was quite open in the middle of the pavilion and that type of thing, but if I really had a complaint, it was the absence of a food truck because they didn't have any lunch for them. But other than that, I thought that was fine for what I witnessed. So then I would welcome them back again. But, so I guess that was it. The only other thing I'm going to say, and we'll throw a little gas in the fire, is you are the CEO. You are the man in charge. And I want to make sure that we don't degrade that or disrespect it, because you are the guy in charge. And, I respect that in your position. I don't ever want to degrade that at all. So I guess that was the two things I'd say.
I appreciated the presentation of Michigan Main Street, very interesting, very thorough. I would think it would fit with what we're trying to do, Main Street, Littleville. So I don't know what the next steps are, but sure we'll find out. Well, I know what they are, they're right under charge. Talk about us. So, thank you very much.
Are we going to get a copy of the?
Yeah, Kim has it, but like I said, I'll also send the brochure because it's a little bit more succinct and has the suite of services as well.
We'll send you a copy of everything that was presented tonight, though.
Okay.
And also, I respect your position, Mr. President. It's not always an easy job. Well, some days. Just,
Anytime it can go back to being easy. I'm all for it.
I would just say, take everything that's said, not personal. That's the main thing, because I can hear your soul boiling up here. And sometimes the load gets heavy, and that happens. I don't think anybody intentionally goes against your thinking, your wishes, or your position. I respect it. So, I thank you.
I will elaborate on that. I do respect you. You are the president, and I like you as a friend. But the only thing I've ever said is we need to be a team, everybody, not just us. We need to collaborate. I don't like when other people talk about other people when they're not there. Just like when people say things about you, I will defend you. That's just the way I am. So claims should be brought together so both parties can discuss it. And that's always been how I stand. So it upsets me when other things are said about other groups, other people, and they're not here to defend themselves. So that's my only talk about that. That's it.
I bring up that point specifically because procedurally, we just can't throw things out into the wild and then expect something to be done about it. Everything is a procedure and a process. It's all about communication. It's all about clarity. There's no gaslighting. There's no emotion. This isn't a personal attack. What it is it's a movement from one person to another to give support in a role that needs support, and it needs validation. And the reality is that it's very easy as a board and as a public board to just say things without validation. And the reality is that the most powerful tool that you have is validation. And if we can help, and the whole purpose of me bringing that up is to validate what your claims are. And if we can validate it and make sure that it gets the right resources attached to it, this isn't personal. It's not emotional. It's just a thing that we need to address. And if there's risk involved, we need to address the risk head on and make sure that we're spending the right amount of time and the right amount of money on making that happen. This has nothing to do with trying to mix words or mince words or try to do some sort of weird personal attack. It's not that. I'll be honest with you, I don't get paid enough money in this role to get that emotional about it, other than the fact that if we're going to address risk, I want to make sure that we are doing so at a level that is exemplary for this particular board, because we are the executive board of this village, and we need to address issues like that head on with the right course of action. So if we could do that, That's all the reason why I bring it up rather than on the fly. I would much rather just do it, knock it out, have us all in agreement and solve those problems collectively, not individually. That's our role to support you. So with that, I have nothing more to add.
So I didn't come in here to pick a fight, and I don't believe any of you are disrespecting me. That comment goes elsewhere. But I approve the minutes. Robin sent them to, or not, Rhonda sent them to me. I'm talking to too many hours this week. And then today I checked it because I've been busy. And I saw we were talking about this policy, and it just reminds me that there are current commissioners and board chairs and township supervisors that are working to dispel a project that has a legal right to be here. And if we deny it, it would get sued. Like, it bothers me that that is such a not in my backyard argument that they're willing to go to such lengths to get this kicked down the road and not approved. And it's something we desperately need. So this stuff festers. And so for the outburst, I apologize. It's all Steve's fault. Steve's the one that thanked me for steering the DDA.
Well,
I
somebody
shouldn't
had
have to
you know.
steer that board towards development. That's where a lot of my issues lie. That it's, and that's what makes these issues fester. So I will draft a list. I will give you all on paper. I will dig up the email and I'll send it to you again. I have genuine concerns, and it's not personal. It's not political. It's the job I was elected to do, to make sure that the people that are in charge of the well-being of this village have the village's well-being in mind. So with that,
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
all right. I was struggling to find thank you for your time and thank you for your patience. We have a motion with support to adjourn. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Dick's already half hour late.
Can I have my cord back?
Thanks.
You're welcome.